Hi, I'm Amy Romeo, and today in this video I'm going to show you how to make this really pretty winter snowflake card wallet using faux leather, heat transfer vinyl, and a Cricut. Now this has a little snap that opens and you can fit cards inside or money, and then there's a little key ring where you can attach this to your purse or your keys. And I will have a link to the SVG file for you underneath this video, as well as links to all of the supplies and materials that I use. So I'm using my Cricut Maker today. For this pattern, you can use any of the Maker machines, any of the Explore machines, including the Explore Air 2. You can also use the Cricut Joy Xtra, but not the Cricut Joy because this pattern is a little too large for the Joy. Now I'm using some faux leather. I'm using sheets of 9" by 12" faux leather. I'm just using a fun print. Keep in mind, if your print has a direct up and down, then the pattern will fold. So for example, these little polar bears are facing up. So when we fold our pattern like this, we'll have to flip this over. This will be our flap, but then the polar bears in the back will be upside down. So just keep that in mind. That's why I'm using a print that does not have a particular direction. So to cut the faux leather, I'm going to use my purple strong grip Cricut mat. And then the heat transfer vinyl that I'm using, I'm just using some white Caesar Easy Weed for sort of the background layer there. And then here I use some Caesar glitter heat transfer vinyl, but today I'm going to use some foil iron-on in a pretty silver. To press the heat transfer vinyl onto my faux leather, I'll use my Easy Press Mini. You can also use a regular Easy Press or heat press. I'm using my heat pressing pad to protect my surface, and you'll need a cover sheet of some kind like Teflon sheet, butcher paper, or parchment paper. You'll need a weeding tool of some kind, either a pin, pen, or a hook. You'll want some craft scissors. Also, we'll use blue painter's tape to help us get good cuts. And then the little center snap is called a Kam Snap. These are size 20 extra long Kam Snaps. These are available on Amazon and also in the Kam Snap website. I'll leave links to that for you. So you'll need size 20 Kam Snaps and also the special Kam Snap pliers. And then to attach the hardware, you'll need the keyring hardware, some 10mm jump rings, and an optional tassel or little charms, plus some jewelry making pliers. So let's go ahead and hop into Cricut Design Space. I'll show you the template. We'll get the layers cut out for this project, and I'll show you how to assemble this fun wallet. Starting with a blank canvas in Cricut Design Space, you'll click on Upload and then Upload Image, and you'll browse to where the unzipped SVG file for this project is saved on your device. Click on it to select it and then click Open. You'll see a preview of the shape. Click Continue and then Upload. So with the card wallet design on our canvas, if you click this little drop down arrow here, you can see the 3 layers that make up this project. So the bottom layer will cut from faux leather and the top 2 layers will cut from the heat transfer vinyl of your choice. We don't want to adjust the size of this project because it is sized to fit cards, so we'll just go ahead and click the Make It button. We're cutting our materials on a mat. The first thing you need to do is go through and toggle the mirror button on for each of your mats because faux leather and heat transfer vinyl cut in reverse. I like to drag my shapes away from the edges of my mat just a little bit. And then for the faux leather mat, you'll want to make sure that it is placed inside the boundary of your piece of faux leather, whatever those dimensions are. So my faux leather is 9 inches wide and 12 inches tall. So if I have my little card wallet shape here within that 9-inch boundary, then we'll be good. So I'm going to go ahead and click Continue. For the faux leather mat, I'm going to use the faux leather paper thin cut setting. If you don't have the setting bookmarked as a favorite like I do, you can click on Browse All Materials and search for it. If you're using the Explore Air 2 machine, you'll need to turn your dial to Custom before you can find this setting. So faux leather paper thin with more pressure. That's an important tip for getting good cuts with your Cricut. And then for the heat transfer vinyl mats, you will use whatever the manufacturer of your type and brand of HTV recommends to get a good cut. Okay, so let's go ahead and hop over to my overhead camera. I'll show you how to cut out the faux leather mat, and then I will cut the heat transfer vinyl mats off camera so we can get right to the assembly. So I've got my piece of faux leather and I'm going to flip this over and put it pretty side down on my purple strong grip mat. And then I'm going to press it down all over with my hands And then I'm going to use some blue painter's tape and just tape it down on all sides. This is going to keep our faux leather from shifting while we're cutting. So we already have our faux leather paper thin cut setting with more pressure ready to go. So we'll just load our mat into the machine and begin the cut. So the cut has run one time, and before you unload the mat, I recommend you use a sharp weeding tool just to lift up the edge to see if it looks like the cut went all the way through. This one looks good, but if your cut did not go all the way through, you can just press the cut button again to repeat the exact same cut. You can do that as many times as you need to, as long as you don't unload your mat. So I'm going to unload my mat, remove my shape here. And there are some little holes in my shape that I'm going to want to poke out. So I'm going to use my weeding hook just to poke those through. And if on the back side they don't come out cleanly, then you can use your little curved scissors just to help trim them away. So spend a moment and go ahead and poke out all of those little holes. What I'm going to do next is return to Design Space, and I'm going to cut out those 2 heat transfer vinyl layers and weed away the excess just to save some time, because I really want to spend time showing you how to assemble this and attach the keychain hardware and the Kam Snaps. So I finished cutting and weeding my 2 heat transfer vinyl layers. I have my Easy Press Mini set to the low setting, which is that first green line. If you're using a regular Easy Press or regular heat press, I would set it to 265 degrees. Now, before we start pressing, I just want to show you the little holes that we poked through here. So you should have a hole down at the bottom and the top, one for each of these flaps, and then you should have 2 holes on the side here. That's for the jump ring for our keyring hardware. So I'm just going to flip this over, and you want to locate this hole that's down here right above that little scalloped edging. That is going to line up with our snowflake pattern. So I have my snowflake heat transfer vinyl layer here with a little hole cut out as well. So all I'm going to do is line up those holes, and I'm also making sure that my snowflake is lined up so that there's a little bit of the border of the faux leather underneath that you can see evenly around the edge of the snowflake. So once you have that in place, you also want to make sure that your snowflake is centered vertically. So I'm going to adjust mine a little bit. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to cover this and press. This is a Teflon sheet that I've trimmed smaller, but again, you could use butcher paper or parchment paper. So I'm just going to take my heat press and press all over. We want to get about 10 seconds of good pressure all over this snowflake so it adheres well to the faux leather. So move your carrier sheet to the side, and then you want to very slowly start to peel back that clear carrier sheet. You're peeling it slowly because if your vinyl lifts or bubbles, you can just place it right back down, cover, and press some more. So I'm just going to continue peeling slowly. This looks good. And now I'm going to take my little snowflake layer, the top layer. Again, I'm lining up the little circle at the bottom, and then I'm making sure my snowflake is lined up symmetrically inside of the border of that underneath heat transfer vinyl layer. And that looks good. So again, we will just cover and press. So I've pressed this foil iron-on all over, and sometimes with foil iron-on products, it's good to let this cool for just a little bit to help us get an easier peel. But I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. Again, I'm just peeling very slowly. And there you have it. Isn't that pretty? So what I want to do next is place this underneath my heat pressing pad to let it cool nice and flat. I'm going to go ahead and get my Kam Snaps together so I can show you how to attach the snaps for this project. So for the snap for this card wallet project, we're going to need a size 20 extra long Kam Snap. And what that means is that prong that sticks down is extra long to accommodate our thickness of 3 layers of faux leather. So the Kam Snaps, size 20 extra long, they come in big packages, and you can go through your package and find the 4 pieces that you need to make one snap. And I always like to refer to this little guide. I'll include a copy of this in your download folder because it's very helpful. It shows that the 4 pieces you need are a cap, a stud, a socket, and another cap. So I like to go through my Kam Snaps and lay out those 4 pieces on my work surface. It's also good to have a couple little scrap pieces of blue painter's tape to help you with this process. So we've got our little card wallet flipped over to the inside. We're going to take this bottom cap here, the one with the pointy stud, and we're going to place it through the back of our card wallet down to the front. And you're going to want to do this on either the left flap or the right flap. I'll do the left. So I've got the cap on the inside so that the post is sticking up through the front side. Then whichever side flap you didn't do the other one. Just fold that over, put it on the post, and now we're going to take our bottom flap, fold it up so it's also on that post. And now just take a moment to make sure your little flaps are neat and they look symmetrical and even on both sides. Now we can take our little scraps of blue painter's tape. We're just going to tape down these sides for a minute. Now, if after you apply your snap, there's a little bit of a gap here, you can always apply some glue once your snap is in place. So we've got our cap on the inside and we've got our post sticking up on the outside. So the next piece you want to grab is your socket. So I'm going to take my socket and just put it right on top of the cap. Just like that. I'm going to hold that in place with my fingers. And now I need my Kam Snap pliers. So the black piece of the Kam Snap pliers always goes over the cap, which in this case is on the inside of the card wallet. So you might need to adjust your pliers inside your hand to get them going in the right direction. But what I'm going to do is take the black part and I'm going to slide it over this snap here so that the black part completely covers the cap that's inside the wallet. And you'll feel it when it's in the right position. And you'll know it's in the right position because the cap is completely covered by the black piece. You can't see any of the cap. When you do that, then this piece here on the outside is lined up well as well. And then you'll just squeeze, squeeze, squeeze with your hands. And that's going to install this bottom part of your Kam Snap. So you can go ahead and remove your little tape. And as I said, if you wanted to, you could squeeze in some glue there and put something heavy on top of this for a little bit and let those edges get really nice and flat. But I'm going to go ahead and install the other part of the Kam Snap here on the front flap. So I'll just take my other cap. I'm going to put it on top of my little snowflake cutout, just like that. On the inside, we'll put our last piece, which is going to be our stud. Again, I'm going to hold both of those parts, take my pliers, slide the black part over the cap so the cap completely disappears, and then just squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And now we have our little snap. So the final step after you've attached your little Kam Snap closure is to attach our keyring hardware. So those 2 little holes on the right hand side, you're going to thread a 10mm jump ring through there. So I just have my 10mm jump ring, which I'm going to open with my jewelry making pliers. Then I'm going to take that open end of the loop there and just run it through the bottom hole and then back up through the top hole, just like that. And then I will slide my keyring on. Now this keyring hardware has a large lobster claw clasp at the bottom and a little swivel that will hang our cute tassel from, but you could use just a keyring if that's what you have. And I'm just going to place that on and then come back in with my pliers and close that up. Now that I have that closed up, I can close the snap on my little wallet. You see that pretty snowflake? And now I'm just going to use another 10mm jump ring to attach my little tassel to that swivel. And that's it. Here's another look at the Snowflake Card Wallet in the first colorway with that pretty glitter gold snowflake. I hope you enjoyed this project and you're going to make a Snowflake Card Wallet yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.